Alright, today we're going to be learning about exponents. So let's just take a trip back to early elementary school, if you can remember learning about addition. So easy stuff like 2 plus 2 equals 4, 4 plus 3 equals 7, things along those lines, and subtraction. Easy stuff like 6 minus 2 equals 4. And 10 minus 2 equals 8. But then addition got a little more complicated. You might have things like 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. We can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threes. So we know that that equals 15. But is there an easier way to write that? Yes, there is. We could just write 3 times 5. Which we know also equals 15. These two are essentially the same equation. 3 times 5 represents 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. And the same way, division is essentially repeated subtraction in the same way that multiplication is repeated addition. So let's take something like 20 divided by 10. What does that equal? Well, we know that it equals 2. Why is that? Because we have 20, and if we're dividing it by 10, what we're saying is, how many times can we subtract 10 from 20? Well, 20 minus 10 is 10, and then we subtract 10 again, and that equals 0. So we can subtract 10 from 20 2 times. So 20 divided by 10 equals 2. So division is repeated subtraction. But what happens when we have repeated multiplication or repeated division? But let's just talk about repeated multiplication for the moment. So let's say we have 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. Well, that can get a little redundant to write all of those out, but as you can see, I have 1 times 2, 3, 4, so I have 4 5s here. So 5 is what's known as our base. And then the 4 times that is multiplied by itself would be our exponent. So there. 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 can also be written as 5 to the 4th power, as we would call this. So there. So this is our base. The base is the number that is being multiplied. Then this is our exponent. The smaller number up top is the exponent, called a superscript. That is how many times the number is multiplied. So the base is the number that's being multiplied, and the exponent is the amount of times it's being multiplied. So let's just apply some examples. So let's say we have 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 3 equals question mark. Alright, so how many do we have here? So 3, this is a lot of 3s, so we know that 3 is going to be our base. That's the large number in front. So it happens 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So what is our exponent going to be? That's right, 7. So this would be called 3 to the 7th power. So once again, that'd be called 3 to the 7th power or 3 to the 7th. So this number right here, this is sometimes usually it's called an exponent, but you could also hear it called the power. Alright, let's try some examples now. So 4 to the 2nd power, which is also known as 4 squared, as you may have learned in previous classes, what does that equal to? 4 times 4. So a number times itself is also known as the square. So 2 times 2 would be 2 squared, or 2 to the 2nd power, or just simply 2 to the 2, or 2 to the 2nd. Alright, go ahead and pause this video and try to solve a few of these. Alright, I hope you paused and tried to solve a few, so let's go through them. So 5 to the third power, or 5 to the third, what is that going to be equal to? 5 times 5 times 5, which would also be equal to 25 times 5, which would be 125. And over here, 4 times 4 would be equal to 16. Here's a tricky one. 8 to the first. What do you imagine that is? If you said just 8, you would be correct. 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. What's a much easier way to write that? Well, it's 4 multiplied by itself 4 times. So we'd have 4 to the fourth power. How about 2 times 2 times 2? Well, we have 2. How many times is it multiplied by itself? 1, 2, 3 times. So it'd be 2 to the third power. Here's a bit of a tricky question. 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. What do you think that is? So 1/2. Now this is important. Parentheses whenever there are fractions or negative numbers. So times 3 times. Multiplied by itself 3 times. So it'd be 1/2 to the third power. Alright, we'll pick back up with negative exponents.